How's it going, everybody? Before we start the video today, we just want to let you guys know we are going to be live streaming the opening to free agency next Wednesday, March 16th at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. We hope to see you guys there.
Expecting it.
Okay. With the combine out of the way, the next thing in the NFL offseason is the start to free agency. Free agency comes up March 16th. It's going to be an exciting time. I'm really excited to see what the Vikings do at that time. Hopefully we'll have some of those contract situations all sorted out, which we should if we want to make some real headway in free agency. I'm looking forward to it, man. This is like probably number 2 most exciting thing behind the draft to happen. So I'm ready to go. For this, Jamie and I have put together a list of our top 5 free agents we'd love to see the Minnesota Vikings sign this season. So we'll jump into that here.
But before we do that, I want to thank everybody watching the GG Sport podcast of the Minnesota Vikings, where we endure heartbreak but always bleed purple. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell. Get the notifications. All that good stuff. So, yeah, let's get into this top 5 potential Vikings.
All right, let's go. Starting at number 5, the newly released, right? We were making our list, and I was on ESPN, and I saw this pop up. The Seahawks obviously selling the farm, basically. They just traded Russell Wilson. The release of 8-time All-Pro Bobby Wagner. Man, that surprised me. And as soon as we heard that, Jamie said we got to put him on the list. So he's number 5. Instantly.
And especially because we're most likely changed into a 3-4. I know the whole nickel thing, so it's not as big as a deal as people want to make it. But you know, the more linebackers, the merrier. You can get away with 2 interior linebackers. I mean, a Wagner, Kendricks.
God, could you imagine?
Oh my God, that's like the 2 best interior linemen in the last 5 years on the same team, and it would be insane. And the leadership would be insane. And it would be awesome. And I'm assuming he'll make a shit ton of money. And we have a lot to worry about to make something like that happen. Everyone on the list, we're going to have to do some maneuvering to make happen. But I'm hoping we get one of our guys would be
right. And amazing. We're not, with this, we should have prefaced this. We're not, I mean, we're taking the salary cap into account in certain aspects. I mean, obviously, Bobby Wagner's a little bit older, so he'll probably take, you think he'd get a little less money than what he would if he was in his prime. So obviously we're not going after the top flight guys, the guys that are going to cost us a bunch of money. And we're mainly looking at what you could consider to be positions of need for this as well. So, but I would love to see Bobby Wagner. He's got 23.5 career sacks, 10 interceptions. So, you know, in this type of defense where he might be rushing the passer, he can get after it. And I just think, like you said, from a leadership perspective, him and Eric Kendricks on the same team, like, man, that defense would have some firepower to it. So I would be happy to see Bobby Wagner again. I don't think it's a very high probability that it happens, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. So Bobby Wagner checks in at number 5.
Number 5. Yeah, we have a lot of spots that we need to fill, and linebacker is important, and it is a spot that I think we could do better at. But we have some bigger concerns to go into.
Yeah. So jumping in.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say, jumping into the next
4
one
here. As we talked about with pass rushers on this defense,
pass rushers.
Chandler Jones. Now, we went into this with the assumption that Danielle Hunter in some way, shape, or form will stay with the team. So this one, it seems a little bit of a stretch, but just thinking about what he did in that week 1 game, you know, he dominates left tackles along, you know, along that offensive line.
And you can't get enough edge rushers, man. I mean, you will be paying a lot for Danielle Hunter, but if you're going to put a bunch more money in a free agent, an edge rusher is a really good spot to fill. And I mean, if you have 2 beast edge rushers, man, I mean, that's going to help your defense immensely in every aspect, every level of it. So, I mean, I feel like this is quite a stretch to do it, but man, that would be killer if we did.
Man. He had 10.5 sacks last year. Bring that in opposite Danielle Hunter in that 3-4 defense. Man, I would love it. Again, I agree. I don't think it's going to happen, but he's a guy I would really, really like to see on this team. Any other thoughts on Chandler Jones at all?
Nope. Let's move to number 3.
Right. So now looking at the top 3, these are 3 that I feel are much more realistic possibilities.
Yeah, and it's our biggest concerns in my opinion. And you know, we have to see what we do with Kirk Cousins. But even if we keep Kirk Cousins, there's still a chance we can get one of these guys.
Yeah,
I think, because we can probably, you know, what was it? I think they added 25 million this year to the cap or whatever. So I mean, there's some extra money there potentially. So we might still be able to get one of these guys even with Kirk Cousins' contract. So
yeah. Moving on to number 3, as we talked about, big position of need here, cornerback Stephon Gilmore, formerly of the Patriots, traded to Carolina mid-season last year. Stud corner, one of the highest paid corners in the league for a reason. I would love to see it happen. I would even say do it if you can keep Patrick Peterson. If you can maneuver and get some cap space open and bring in a guy like this to put next to Patrick Peterson and let Dantzler kind of rotate in, I would love it. And if you don't bring back Patrick Peterson, if you feel like you can get Stephon Gilmore over Patrick Peterson, I would do it.
I think it too.
Stephon Gilmore brings a lot more to the table than Peterson does. Is he younger than,
at this point?
Is he younger than Patrick Peterson?
Yeah, I think so. Because Stephon Gilmore is 31. And what is Patrick Peterson's age?
Let me find out quick.
But the thing with Patrick Peterson is his speed is so important to.
He's also 30.
He is. Well, his speed is so important to his skill level.
Lost a step more than.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Stephon Gilmore is he's just a better, I think, like straight up coverage type of guy. And I think that will translate. I don't even know what I'm talking about for sure, but I feel like that translates better than if you lose a step in your biggest assets, your speed. But like you said with Patrick Peterson, if we can have both of them, that would be fantastic. But if we lose Patrick Peterson, I really would like Gilmore, because that means the rest of our cornerbacks are extremely young. That means we probably are grabbing another cornerback out of the draft for sure. And, you know, you want that veteran person there, whether it's Patrick Peterson or Gilmore. I'd like to see one of them there to be that veteran presence. And I think Stephon Gilmore would be a beast addition. And he's still, he was an all-pro just last year. He might have been arguably the top cornerback, not the past season, but the season before.
Yeah, he was. I believe he was. He was up there.
Yeah. So he has stuff in the tank.
Yeah. And he learned defense from Bill Belichick. So he'd be bringing some genius to this defense. So I would love to see it happen. Who knows if it will? We'll know down the road. But number 3 on our list is Stephon Gilmore. Now, the top 2, we kind of went back and forth on, a little bit interchangeable here, honestly, but we'll kind of explain our thinking. Number 2, Washington Commanders right guard, Brandon Scherff. Obviously, he's been a top guard in the league since he was drafted. He's been dealing with injuries as of late, which might actually make him a little bit cheaper. Rumors out there are that he would welcome being signed to Minnesota. He's from Iowa, so be a little closer to home. I would love to
grew up as a Viking fan.
What's that?
So I wonder if he grew up as a Viking fan.
I don't know. Probably did.
Iowa people kind of do something.
Everybody should be Vikings fans. Vikings are
the
best.
They should. Be smart.
But I would like to see it happen. I think he's got a lot left in the tank. He knows Kirk well. Maybe he could even say, "Hey, Kirk, take a pay cut. We'll go get your guy." So
definitely
I would like
Kevin O'Connell stuff too.
Definitely for sure.
Right. So there's all kinds of links to Brandon Scherff. So that's why I was not surprised that he was interested in coming here.
Right. Talented guard, great blocker. I think this would be, if we could get him again. I don't know how much money he's going to command, but if we could get a guy like Brandon Scherff, that offensive line would
take a big step forward. Yeah, for sure. We'd only have one. If we got Brandon Scherff, there'd only be one spot left on the offensive line that's pretty questionable. And that brings me to the number 1 center. We'll move to the next one. Yeah. Ryan Jenson. And so I'll actually let Casey, because this is Casey's whole idea. This is the reason why we would probably pick Ryan Jenson over Brandon Scherff. And it's because there's a guy on our team that we think has a lot of potential. Yeah.
So Brandon Scherff, right guard, right? So we were both, when we were talking about this, Jamie wanted to put Scherff at number 1. And I love that idea. I think Brandon Scherff is really good. But I still believe that Wyatt Davis has so much talent and untapped potential. I mean, obviously there are the rumors about the weight issues and maybe some effort issues last season. But I think if he gets the right coaching staff that will work with him and develop him, I think he could be an absolute stud. He's younger. I know he had the knee injury, but overall healthier than a guy like Brandon Scherff, who has missed games as of late. So, and I think about that, and I know they experimented with Wyatt Davis at center, but I think you keep him at his natural right guard position, and you bring in a stud center like Ryan Jenson, played with Tom Brady and won a Super Bowl. He's been there, done that. He's worked with greatness. I think he would be a stud center along that line. So if you look from left to right, you'd have Christian Darrisaw, you'd have
stud.
You'd have Ezra Cleveland, you would have Ryan Jenson, you would have Wyatt Davis, and you would have Brian O'Neill. You look at that offensive line, Kirk Cousins, if he stays, or Malik Willis, or whoever you get, Kenny Small Hands Pickett, sorry, man, I don't mean to make funny like that, or some bridge quarterback, that guy's going to have a year to throw the football downfield to Justin Jefferson, or hit Adam Thielen on a nice slant road, or check it down to the boy CJ Ham and score 30 freaking points a game.
It would be pretty crazy if Kwesi comes in here and we fix our offensive line in one offseason because with Kwesi.
Yeah.
So, and we're not that far. I mean, it literally is to the, like, our center and our right guard, and we might have that in Wyatt Davis, and Ryan Jensen's such a good center. Like, I value, the reason why I picked Brandon Scherff was because I just value guards higher than center. I think most people do, but Ryan Jensen is an elite center. So, I mean, I don't know. I think when you do that, I think that might overshadow the whole guard center. What's more important thing when you have someone that good.
And as you can see with the jersey, he's a Pro Bowler, so he knows what he's doing. But man, I think that would be this would be number one for me. Like, just because I do believe Wyatt Davis can be the guy at right guard, and I just think this would solidify that offensive line. And man, it would just be exciting to see what we could do with an absolute stud offense. Right.
And having him in the center, being able to having that kind of veteran present in the center, and having a young guy like Cleveland, and obviously a very young, inexperienced guy like Wyatt Davis, and you have two studs on the outside and one guy in the middle it will just help their growth so much. And that's another reason why I think that could be extremely important. I mean,
like I said, huge Brandon Scherff fan, but I just like Wyatt Davis better staying at that right guard, moving a guy like Ryan Jenson in that center. And I think this could be reasonable. He's getting a little bit older. Won his Super Bowl. If he wants to win another one, go to a team with a ton of talent who just needs that piece along the offensive line to solidify things. And man, it could get sexy time there with that. So
sounds good to me.
So there you have it. Those are our top 5 on the free agency wish list. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like if you would. Let us know in the comments your top 5 players on your free agency wish list, who you'd like to see come to Minnesota to help out this team. And most importantly, do not forget to hit the subscribe button right down here. Check out some of our other videos right up there if you would like. Do not forget, next Wednesday at the start of free agency, 4 Eastern, 3 Central, we will be live streaming during the start of free agency. Check us out then, and we will see you guys on the next episode of the podcast.
SKOL Vikes.